ZLS 022 with the one, the only, Wes Grimes. How's it going, man?
I'm better than I deserve, man.
Good to hear. Good to hear. You want to give a quick intro? Who you are, what you do?
Yeah, I'm Wes Grimes, and I watch sunsets, and I love weather. And every now and then, I do some engineering, software engineering, some coding, and I might tweet about it every now and then. You might hear some tweets about barbecue. There was a controversy recently about this thing called white barbecue sauce that Mike Ryan brought up. I think I might have to try it. So we'll see. But
was this Brandon?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously Brandon's involved if barbecue's there. So
is white barbecue sauce not just ranch?
Well, that's what I said. I said, you mean, because I've recently discovered ranch and I love it. But
dude, that was so bizarre to me. How have you gone this far in your life without ever trying it?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I was raised, the options were put out there, but I was a really picky eater. And then I met my wife, and she slowly whittled me down, and I eat pretty much anything now. So
very nice.
I might even have vinaigrette dressing next. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey man, let's not go crazy. Let's not go crazy here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my current role is principal software engineer at a company up here in North Carolina, where I'm based out of, and in the throes of a big migration. Not really. It's a new a greenfield app in Vue, and so this is new for me. Coming from being heavily involved, I'm an Angular GDE, and part of the NGRX team and all that. But diving into Vue, and that's been an interesting transition so far.
Yeah. So. Well, before we get into Vue, this had come up on a previous stream. Let me throw off the.
I'm not gonna let me get by without asking about NGRX.
I got a question about it because I said something. Oh, there's Lars. Hey Lars, we were just talking about you before the show.
I gotta watch what I say. He's gonna correct me. So.
Dude, that's the best part. We got people in here telling us fixing all my problems when I live code. It's great. I need to do it all the time. But so this came up on one of the previous episodes that I've done. So I was telling someone about this this diagram, and I said the reason this thing is dotted is because I convinced you, and then you went and changed it. Is that right, or am I remembering that wrong? Do you remember it was right when you and Brandon first came on at Narwhal?
I'm trying to remember. I think it's because if it was solid, there was an assumption that you always had to consume actions and effects.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. There's lots of use cases where you just have them in reducers, and there's some people that don't. Or let me rephrase that. There are some instances where you might want to use the action stream like directly in a service or a component without an effect. I'm not saying that's something I would recommend, but there are maybe some use cases, like edge cases, where it might make sense. Maybe like you have a component that controls a dialogue or something, and you want to show a dialogue based on when an action is, dispatched or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for that one, like for that specific use case, I do that all the time, where I just inject the action stream into, somewhere with the scope to that dialogue, so I can just close it when we see a success come back or something like that. So. Yeah,
like if it's totally contained within the confines of that component, maybe it makes sense. I think that's why. I think I think Jordan Powell, I have to give him credit because he actually started driving the effort behind this diagram, and he actually made it in his past life. He was like a designer, and so he in Photoshop. He pulled it up. He's really good with graphic design, and he
this is great.
Yeah, at Jordan Powell 88 on Twitter, I think is his handle. But he's getting involved with NGRX more. But I think if I remember correctly, he created this diagram, and then we, me and Mike and Brandon and Alex and Tim and
Yeah.
Rob, we all kind of like reviewed it and had some feedback and kind of landed on this. There's other ones like Todd Motto's got one that's good as well, from a slightly different perspective, which is also good. But yeah, that's the story behind the dashed line. Is it's kind of like not, because I think people were assuming you always had to have effects, and that's not necessarily always the case.
Yeah. Well, so the reason it came up, I forget, this might have been with Lars when I had Lars on. But I was saying, I was like hypothesizing, Wes, how sometimes I'll get philosophical about this crap. I was like, what if sometimes you don't need the store? What if sometimes you just need that action stream? So like, what if you don't like have actions that go through the reducer? What if you're just using that action stream and listening to that action stream to make things happen for some apps? So
yeah. I mean, you could. I mean, you could use it like a behavior subject or whatever. I mean, it's kind of what it is, right?
Kind of, yeah.
It's got, obviously there's a lot more involved in that, but
yeah.
Too technical. But
well, yeah. I guess when you inject the store, it's kind of like a behavior subject, right? Because you're like calling dispatch on it and stuff like that. I think the action stream itself, like that actions thing, you can inject for the effects.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
that's just like an observable. It's almost like an event queue, right? Like it's just all the events as they happen.
Yeah. So. Yep. As the actions are dispatched, they're fed through there. And the thing about like reducers versus effects is you're always ensured that by the time that it hits the action stream, it's ran through the reducer. And so like that's why you can count on things being in a certain order and being in a certain place when you use when you're mapping to actions and effects. And so things like with latest from to select from. Sorry, my kid is beating on the window.
That's fine. My kids come and beat on my door. I just keep it locked.
Everyone's discovering Wes Grimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Crutch Corn. I think I checked out your channel, man. You got a lot more followers than me. So still trying to learn Twitch, or is that Twitch? Yeah. So trying to figure it out. So we gotta do a better job of titling this stuff so more people can find us. But we'll get there.
Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of going in a roundabout way. The thing about, action flows through the reducer, and then so by the time you and this is something Brandon taught me. In the effects, you can count on the reducer has been run by that.
The reducer has run. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can select things out of state and act on them in your effects if you want to get like the latest value or something.
Yeah. That's why with latest with latest from will work.
Yeah.
Those situations.
Exactly. So, yeah. And as you know, like effects don't just have to have actions. You can subscribe to a WebSocket stream.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I think one of my colleagues at Capital One actually just did an article about all the different things you can do with effects. So yeah. I probably misuse them. Like I'd probably use effects just to have like some long-standing observables by itself without even having store in there.
Well, yeah. Then you don't have to go through all the ceremony of, and I dare say it because I'm going to trigger some people, but like manually subscribing to things, right? You should never do that. You should, use the type
it can't be avoided, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, I would argue you can always avoid it, but there's always a way to avoid dumping out of reactivity into like imperative code. But
yeah, well, go back to the dialogues. Like say you're listening, you're looking to the on close observable. I don't know how you do something meaningful with that by like async piping it. You know what I mean? Those are the situations I'm thinking you got to like subscribe.
Well, I mean, that's when you put it in an effect and map it to another action.
Okay.
And then, you have some other effect listening to that action, like dialogue closed or something, like thinking back to what we've done, with like clients, like Capital One, that's a pattern that works quite well there. So
yeah, very cool. Well, yeah, the biggest thing about NGRX for me is the pattern. Being able to get dropped into something, just kind of understand state. Like that's a really understated thing, I think. I say it all the time. I think state by nature is a black hole of complexity. Like there's state in your app, whether you like it or not. If you don't acknowledge it, it's going to be unmaintainable. It's going to be untrackable. NGRX brings chaos, or brings order to that chaos. So
it does, but there's a learning curve with it for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we're talking more about NGRX, and you could edit the title later. But I like talking about NGRX. But Lars says NGRX view store. Yeah,
there we go.
Sure.
You just gotta take this graph, turn it green, and I think you're all set.
Yeah. I mean, somebody earlier today was tweeting something about Vue and how they were trying to bring NGRX to it. I can't remember the person's name, but I think it's an area in Vue that people would disagree that that's just not the Vue way. RxJS, like reactivity, is kind of baked into it without the need for RxJS, but. I don't know. I see some benefit to bringing something like NGRX to Vue, and the limited understanding. I've done a little bit with Vuex. The limited bits that I've seen with it, it seems to push a pattern of your actions and reducers being combined into something called mutations, where
that sounds bad. I have no idea what exactly it means, but it sounds bad.
I don't know if it's bad. It's just a different way of doing things, and so
is it kind of like Immer? Is that the idea?
Immer allows you, I think, to mutate something, but like it wraps the object so that you keep the.
It's like effective immutability without actual immutability, right?
Yeah, it makes it easier to do things in reducers and. So like you could just change a property on an object as opposed to spreading it into a new object with the property changed.
Super helpful sometimes. But that's not what's going on in Vue?
I think maybe it is. Again, my exposure is somewhat limited, but the bit I've seen is that you define you define mutations, and then you do like a commit on a mutation. And that's similar to like a dispatch, but then it runs it through the reducer all at the same time. So there isn't really a concept of reducer. It's like the action and reducer are combined into one action. So the state is mutated with that action. And so like in NGRX, you really want to try to keep your actions as events, things for the most part that have occurred in the past. Maybe like button clicked, or component initialized, or API call requested, or API call succeeded, and then based on that, you would react to that. And that's kind of the benefits. We've talked about this many times. The benefits of that are the decoupling of the actions from the reducers and effects. Allows a lot more flexibility to where with something like maybe on the button click, you want to actually trigger an API call. You want to maybe go notify analytics that the button was clicked.
Yeah, they're not coupled. They're not coupled by nature. You can do different things based off the different events, and that can evolve as you go. But Mike Ryan's talk on what was it, the good action hygiene, I thought really convinced me of actions being paramount in NGRX store and effects. Just that creating a meaningful event stream, like something that's more than just I don't know, the command based, I guess what you're saying. Go hit the API.
Command. One of my former co-workers at Narwhal, Matt Briggs, really helped kind of drive this home and help explain it as well. He's a brilliant dude. I don't know if he's on Twitter anymore, but you should find his stuff. But we just talked about that concept of actions as events and actions as commands. And yeah, it's never 100%. I'm finding that the more I spend time in this career, the longer I get down the road and experience I get, you learn that not everything is always 100% one way or the other. There are sometimes that
there's shades of gray in there.
Yeah. And this would be one of those examples where I would say 9 times out of 10, you should have events, right? Your actions being events. But there may be a scenario where you want to notify something in a far off, distant part of the application. You want to trigger something, and it may not have context or know about, that's coming from that component. And so I know, what I'm supposed to do. Like, for instance, I'm trying to think of an example. But in those scenarios, normally there's not a lot of metadata that comes with an event. It just happened. But a command is kind of like telling something to happen and providing potentially some payload of, I want this to happen. Please do this. And so,
well, it's kind of hard to do. Like you even brought it up, the HTTP requests. I've always thought of those as kind of command based. Like make a request and request. The request succeeded sounds more like an event, I suppose.
Oh yeah, I would call it's an event that's initiated from the server side, really responding back.
Yeah.
With something. I have a talk I did a while back on that concept of like file upload.
Yeah. I remember you showing me that. That was a really neat app.
And really, it's all about like responding to events. Like the users uploaded a file, or you're requesting to upload a file, and then the server responds with progress, and you update your state based on the progress. And if it fails, you update. And so, but we're way off topic here. But
hey man, we're just having a good time here.
Yeah. But
enjoying ourselves. But yeah, these are the kinds of conversations I enjoy having. Though that's why I'm just kind of letting it go. But you want to circle back to Vue? Any thoughts on Vue you want to share with us? Getting your fingers into it a little bit.
Yeah. One thing I like that I've seen so far is the concept of composables in Vue. It's really a Vue 3 thing. And anybody listening, don't judge me too harshly because I'm very new to this. But
there's lots of drama going in Vue about Vue 3, isn't there? Or there had been.
I don't know. Maybe they've been pretty transparent, I think, about the process of the composition API and being public. And then there was some comments on it, I think, and then they went back and listened to everybody's comments and tried to refactor things to meet the needs of the public. And I think the drama is just because of how public. I think that the fact that they went public with it and exposed that process is probably, it's just part of it. When things are public, you're going to have some issues.
I appreciate them doing it though. That seems like the right way to run.
Oh
things.
yeah.
It kind of gets to too many cooks in the kitchen real quick though, I imagine. So what is the composition API? I'm Googling for it right now.
Yeah, let's let me.
You want me to share my screen here?
Yeah, sure. Let's pull it up and I can kind of talk through it.
Yeah, let me
highly recommend Vue Mastery. I forget the guy's last name, but his name's Greg there on the screen.
This guy.
I used to watch his Angular JS videos back in the day.
Okay. Speaking of Matt, since you brought him up earlier, he described Vue as being like what Angular JS would have become if you actually liked Angular JS. Does that sound about right?
That's a fair assessment. Again, like Angular, went like a totally different direction with TypeScript and dependency injection and modules and that kind of thing, and
very object oriented too. Which was interesting from where it was coming from. But to this day, it still like amazes me how much foresight they had. Like they went hard on TypeScript before that was a sure thing. In fact, they got a lot of slack for that initially. Yeah. super impressive to see them make the
Yeah.
make that decision and kind of go with it. Sorry, I missed some comments in here, but there you go.
Yeah.
Make sure they all get their screen time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think doing it in public's a great idea, as opposed to maybe some of the ways some other things have been done, you know, in the private. But you know, I'm not here to judge anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But yeah, so like Vue, yeah, it is more similar to AngularJS in a way, but it's been improved upon. And so like the composition API is, from what I understand, you have this concept of like a reactive properties that you can set, which are basically like state.
Okay. So that's this count and this double over here. Okay, so they're defining it. So the reactive function saying count is 0, double is what's computed. That's okay. So that's some other thing.
So that means that it refires if state.count changes, it's going to refire that. So it'd almost be like
so this is like RxJS map, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. Yep.
I don't know. I forget. Maybe it was Lars. It was Lars again. I was digging into React just a little bit, like stack blitzing it just a little bit to see what it's about. And I was like, I can't use RxJS in here. Like I could, but there'd be no point.
You got to get your mind in it. Mutating is okay, which is really hard.
Yeah.
Because we're all taught don't ever mutate anything in JavaScript.
This double doesn't look mutated, but they have to be mutating that count, right?
Well, yeah. Look at increment.
Yeah, there you go. Increment is doing that.
I don't fully understand it, but I think what they do is they wrap like a proxy around it, and then it intercepts. And any time a property is mutated, it's like it doesn't actually mutate it; it returns a new version of it under the covers. So
okay, so something about this happening though. It knows my state got changed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's probably doing either some diffing or I don't know, something about that. And it's given like some sort of change detection up here. So all you have to do is like change that state.count variable, and Vue will know this piece of the template needs to change and this one needs to change because it's dependent on that count. Or is it that smart even? I don't know. Like if double wasn't related to count at all, would it know? Would it know it would have to change it?
Double wasn't related to count. Well, I mean, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how intelligent their change detection is. Like you know how Angular pipes they're pure. So if like the things the parameters don't change, it doesn't like re-render them, I guess, or redetermine them. I'm wondering how smart this is. Like if anything on state changes, is everything going to recalculate? Or rerun?
Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe we should play around with it and see.
Maybe. You want to do that? Let's see. I've got NX over here.
Okay.
Let me get that link you'd sent me, and we can try to install that plugin. I have a feeling it'll fail because folks on Twitter said it would fail because it's not right for NX 10 yet. But I'm curious.
Yeah. Crutchcorn is correct that Vue 3 uses tons of proxy
magic
stuff, which comes off as and it does. It does. It's very magical.
So what's the proxy stuff? I don't understand that. Like I think for Angular when you have to set up your proxy to the API.
No,
I'm guessing it's like an internal proxy for the object.
It's like it sits in between the actual object and the consumer of it, and so it almost like intercepts things. Yeah, it's just a JavaScript thing. Let me see if I can find a. Yeah, like Mozilla's documentation goes into it pretty good. Let me post the link here. Where's
this
the
is
chat?
not looking good on installing the package.
Yeah, Crutchcorn's posted the same link I was looking at.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, monkey patch everything. Yeah,
monkey patch all the things. Yeah. Zone. Same thing.
not work. If it doesn't work with 10, can we just do it with 9, or would that kill your soul?
No, I mean, I wanted to get it into, like, I wanted to say, like, let's add a new project to, wait, what project is this? Oh, this is something different. Shoot, I think that's our NX stuff. That's not our internal stuff. That's all open source. I didn't reveal anything. Here's Zach Livestream. Let's try this one. Whoops. There's worse things that could have happened than revealing one of my branches to NX. See if this works. If it doesn't work, we'll just do a new repo, because I wanted to get it in with my repo because I've got all my other apps in here. So
yeah,
just wanted to get it alongside. If that don't work, we'll launch up a terminal and just figure out how to launch a new app with their CLI.
Yeah, because like a proxy, like you basically interact with the handler for it, and it almost is like moving your object behind a service, and then you call service methods to interact with that object instead of that object directly, right?
Yeah.
And so you can override things. So maybe you would override like a get on it, and you can say if a prop is something, do something, right?
Yeah.
Return something else, or like modify and append another string to the front of the string property. And so I think because they have the reactive wrapped in a proxy, it allows them to do things like change detection with it. So
interesting.
Cool.
You'll have to check that out, and then.
So it's a totally different approach to reactivity than something like Angular and RxJS.
Yeah.
Where it's more.
Well, it doesn't sound all that different from Angular's, right? Angular's change detection.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like,
to me is just like the better way. You get more control. But like you said, with the NGRX, it takes a lot to learn it up front.
Well, I would argue with the comment. I think better is a judgmental, not in a bad way, but like it's making a judgment in the sense that a proxy is worse, or the way like Vue is doing it worse. I think it's just different.
Yeah.
And you got to look at the skill sets of the developers, and they might. And not like less. I'm not saying that non-RxJS developers have less skills. They just have different skills, and so
sure, yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's a lot. I personally think it's cleaner. Something like the way Vue does things. It's cleaner than having to dot pipe and dump into all of the operators. But you don't have as much fine-grained control, that you would get with RxJS, and so. It'd be cool to have kind of a mix of the two, I think.
Yeah, just the mutability of it makes me nervous. Like, I'm not thinking about performance in any way here. I'm thinking about like cognitive load on the developer. Like eventually, when this component gets big enough that, I don't know, what was it? The count property could be being changed any number of different ways from any number of different events.
Yeah. So the point is, you move that behind so I've seen this concept of creating another, if we're thinking NX, like another lib that has something called composables in them.
Okay.
And it's basically almost like React hooks, where you export these use methods that give you back that piece. And so it's still centralized, and you don't directly make those mutations. You would wrap some kind of an interface around it to deal with it. And so almost like putting it behind a service, but a little more composable than a service, and not having to deal with like dependencies as much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of the most powerful things. I'll start creating our application here, and we can keep talking. What do we want to name this thing, Wes? Do you want to call it Hello World, or do we want to be more ambitious?
No. Let's call it
Weather app.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris. Okay. Norris.
I like. There's a Chuck Norris API where you can get jokes back. I always do that.
Oh yeah, I remember you doing something with that. All right, we're gonna put this. Let's see. This is gonna go in apps, so we'll just call it our Chuck Norris app.
ChuckNorris.io.
Should
I
we
haven't heard
bring
of
in
that one.
routing? I don't even know. I'm just looking at the stuff from the CLI. So for anyone watching
No.
me, we're using NX. We installed the plugin for Vue, and now we just have schematics, and now NX console just kind of works with all the stuff. It's awesome. I'm gonna hit run.
Yeah, I don't think you need routing for this. I think it's okay
Yeah,
without it.
I don't think we will. It's asking me again. What happened to the no interactive option?
Oh man, Crutchcorn said chucknorris.io before I even mentioned it.
.io.
Yeah. So
That's the API. That's the API you're talking about. It's called
well,
chucknorris.io.
actually I like that one better. Mine's like icndb.com or something, but this looks a little bit cleaner.
Yeah. Chuck Norris sounds real clean.
Well, I mean, he's so
installed some
clean, he beats
packages.
Mr. Cleanup. So right.
Yeah. Well,
that was pretty bad, but
so going to RxJS, I think one of the incredibly powerful things about that is given a property, like given that count property, if you have a good understanding, a good handle on RxJS, you can define anything with how that count is going to change in the one place.
Mhm.
Like you can say, if the only thing it depends on is a button click event, just do it. Just look at those, scan those together to count them up or map them over to something else. If you need to start thinking about some other events that's going to affect count, then it needs to be in that one place where you define what count looks like, and that's in opposition to this.
yeah,
I don't know, this kind of thing where you, even if you're using methods to wrap it to make it like cleaner, you're still like changing that variable in any number of different places. If you wrap it in a method, it's just like, well, where does that method get called instead of where does that property actually change? It just kind of moves the problem over a little bit. I don't think it actually, I don't know. Let's not get too philosophical into stuff. Let's see what we got. I got 30 new files here. What happened? I got index.html. This looks promising.
Yeah, let's just look at the file tree.
Yeah, let's do that.
See what's going on here.
Can you see all right? Let me make it a little bigger.
Yeah.
No, I'll make this a little bigger too. Oops. There you go.
Okay, cool. So, all right.
And let's not do any crazy stuff with libs. Let's keep it all in apps.
Yeah, that's fine. So go to the main TS.
So this looks a lot like Svelte from what I've seen of it.
Yeah, it's similar. Very similar.
Which one did you want me to go into? The main?
Let's just start at the top, yeah, and kind of explore this together.
Okay.
Main.ts there, just 2 down from where you're at.
This one right here?
So yeah, so basically we're kind of just defining the root level of the app and mounting to that HTML selector of #app, and if you go to like index HTML,
where's our app? There it is.
It's going to mount it there,
Neat.
Same
so
as,
everything's getting stuck right inside here.
Yep.
Neat.
Yep. And it looks like they're using Webpack plugin to replace some variables at build time.
Okay.
Like the base URL.
Yeah.
Yep. Those kind of things.
What does this mean here? Build files will be auto-injected. Is this like...
Well, it's probably the script tags for the vendor JavaScript and the common JavaScript. And
so they're going to go to the bottom of the body instead of in the head? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Neat.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common way to do it.
So main is importing from our app.view. So here's our app.view. Do I need like a new Vue extension? Let me try installing that so we get some better stuff.
It'll give you the syntax highlighting because Vue.
Yeah, I can't deal with this white, man. I get too spoiled.
Well, like Vue does a single file component, and I know there was a conversation today. Sam Julian and Thomas Trajan and John Papa and a few others were talking about that. And I think Lars's pattern, I think it's Lars's, of a module per component. Mike Ryan brought that up too.
The scam thing?
Yeah.
Single component Angular module?
Yeah. They were talking around that, and we kind of talked about like, so like in Vue, you have a single file component. I don't personally
I really
like it.
like having separate files. Scams, yeah.
You don't like. You
I
don't
really like
having
having my
separate?
template in a different file. The ability to have my template in a different file. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I don't know.
agree.
I like that separation of concern. I think there's a I mean they're definitely very closely coupled, but I still
Yeah.
think it's like just the fact that it's a different language, kind of, right? Like one's HTML pretty much, and the other one's TypeScript.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To an extent, yeah. It's like HTML plus, and I get it. I mean, there's arguments either way. Personally, like I think keeping them in separate files, you might even be able to have somebody that's on your team thinking enterprise. You might have a person that's like more comfortable just in HTML and CSS, and they might want to just work in those files and actually build them out with stub things.
So I was in what was this? It was called like Java Faces. Is that the thing? I don't know. When I was doing full stack stuff, I didn't really know what I was doing. Just kind of slinging code around a lot. I think I was working with Java Faces, and it reminds me so much of JSX. It scares me. It just scares me. It's like that weird. It's like an unholy combination of the two. It feels like to me. I'd much prefer the Angular templating, and it's probably just because I'm used to it. I'll be honest, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I could get used to anything in here. This doesn't. The things we've seen so far isn't weird.
I like JSX. You can do JSX with Vue too, from what I understand. Yeah. And I don't have a problem with it. You can do some cool things with like map and ternary operators to prevent, instead of doing if statements.
The problem with StreamYard
like not if statements, but I mean, like an NGF or something.
Yeah.
But I like it all. I just think it's so cool the way we're at today in 2020 with all these frameworks and all these choices and options, and they're all great in my opinion. So
yeah. So you want to throw up this tweet about scams? I think I saw this earlier, but I didn't see. I saw it before there was a big conversation around it. My first call to Angular and lazy web communities. The topic is scam. I've heard of this before. Their effectiveness for a mentoring discussion. I feel like I saw Mike Ryan. Did you read up on this, Wes?
I don't remember. I didn't see this thread. How did I click on Brandon's one? Yeah.
More replies down here.
No, inside.
Where it says, here.
Yeah, that thread. Go to the top of that. Yeah, that's Sam's. Sam's was from back in May. Oh, okay.
Well, Mike Ryan's is too. Okay, this is all back from May. Brandon's just letting us know about it.
I saw his retweet on my feed. That's what it was. Okay. So, yeah, that's the bit. So Vue has that, and the thing about Vue is, I think from what I'm seeing, it's the compilation step is important, and there's a lot of magic involved, and so, it's all in one file. You have the Vue file, and so. Starting in the basics with the Vue file, you have the template, the script, and the style. And the script, you can do JavaScript or TypeScript, and you just set the lang right there. And then you start importing, and you export a default object there, which is a Vue component.
Yeah, I think you either got a cricket or a toad over by your computer there.
Where?
I just hear like a chirping.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the cicadas, man. Is it too loud?
The cicadas. No, it's fine. It's fine. We can ignore it.
I'm in the woods now, in my new house. So
you finding those cicada shells?
All over the place, man.
That was my favorite thing as a kid growing up. I thought they looked so cool. Anyways, let's keep it on target. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And so So one module per component. Is this a joke?
Yeah. Now, I mean, I see it. I see it. Like the whole ng module thing, it's like a module thing bolted on top of node modules, right? It's like you got to get them both to work. And the thing that seems to make them work the best is if you just split modules to be as small as possible. And so you're just kind of combining and building modules that way. Like anytime there's more than one thing in a module, it's like potential for those things to be unnecessarily coupled. So
yeah, I guess I could see the argument too, where it'd be a lot more code to maintain, and it's just kind of like another thing you got to do. But I mean, you're gonna have to add a component somewhere, you know. I don't know.
Crutch
I want
Corn,
to
thanks
see
for coming. See you next time.
Yeah, see ya. See you later. I guess they're bored with their discussion, but
I think Crutch Corn has other stuff he goes to right about this time. He's last time he was on for the first half too.
So back to Vue. So with this script here, you define, you're exporting an object. I think there's a class way to do it as well. But you define the object, and so you give it a name, and then you give it the components that it actually uses inside. And so that would kind of be like ng module.
So this seems very analogous to that. So we're defining modules it's dependent on, or actually components.
Yeah. No problem, Crutch Corn. 3 hours. I'd be falling asleep if I watched them that long.
Yeah.
So yeah, you define your the components it uses there. That's where you go on to define the data object and your methods that you might want to use. And so that's what we're doing. And then the style, for the style piece there, you can do Sass or CSS or whatever. This particular style is not scoped. I believe you add the keyword, the attribute scoped in the style tag, just like you can do it after there.
Like that. So this will encapsulate these styles?
Yeah, just like an Angular where you would.
So it'll bleed down but not up? Is that the idea? Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm not, I think it's like
the
shadow
has never been my thing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, let's dive into the Hello World.
Yeah, let's do it. There's a lot in here.
Yeah, it's just their page, and so you can minimize.
Let's try just doing like an H1 here. This seems a lot more than a Hello World.
Yeah.
But I don't need the message. Can I get rid of props entirely for now? And it'll just come in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, see how that style is scoped there. So that would only apply to that component.
Can I just serve this? Let's see. Chuck Norris, there it is.
Yep.
Do you know what port it's going to go on?
Nope.
Okay.
3,000 maybe.
Uh-oh. This could be the errors they were talking about. Celtic file with 2 errors. Could not read file. Like live stream. It's there, I swear.
So is there a TS config there, though?
I think there is. Let's find out. Extends tsconfig.base.
Wait a minute. I think it's looking for that in the Chuck Norris directory,
though. I think this root scope would be root scope for the workspace, right? Let me see if this will work. If not, did it rerun? I don't even know. Let me try serving it again. Kill this one. And serve Chuck Norris. Run. Nope. Maybe you're right. Missing. Yeah, you're right. So this needs to go up a file. Does it need to go up too? Where are we?
Well, I mean, if you look, there's a TS config right there. Go down one. Click on that.
This one right here.
Yeah. So there's one there.
Oh,
I think you can change your app one back to what it was, and then but maybe we need to look at this thing.
okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so we got to go to the app one. Let's undo, but change this one. So it's tsconfig.base.json, right?
Okay, let's try it. And then your app JSON, I think you got to go back to that. I think it's just tsconfig. Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
Hello, Lastrafta. Did I say it right?
Strafta. Last Rafta. maybe.
Last
I don't know.
Last Rafta.
Hello,
Okay.
though. Thanks for coming. We're struggling with Vue. We're trying to get the NX plugin working here so we can get our Vue stuff into our NX workspace. And let's try reserving. Let me kill this. Should just grab this. Playing myself trying to use the plugin or to use the console plugin. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. That's all we needed. 8080. It's been a while since I said anything to 8080. Can you still hear me, Wes? I think I lost you. I think I lost your audio. Oh, I see. you. Let me get it so other people can see it too.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah. I hear you, but I hear myself too.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Oh wait, maybe that was me. Okay, let's go over here. Let me stick the that Vue run over here. What do we call it? Oh, it's coming up. That's interesting. I thought it would be called Chuck Norris, but it's called Zach Livestream for some reason. It's just some way the plugin's set up. Where's our text? Did we have Hello World in there?
Okay. No.
No, we didn't. We did not. Let's try putting it in here.
Yeah.
So just drop an H1 and what do we just go like name?
Yeah, that's fine. So do you want to just so what you would do is define a data object below name there. So that's the name of the component. That's not, you can't do like, so the template is provided the data object, the methods, and so you can call those. Yeah, no, this is going to feel weird to you, but you don't do that.
What do you do? Tell me. Just state.
So no, just you're exporting a default object, and so as part of that object, you define a property called data.
Okay.
And I believe it's a method. So you would do like data open close parenthesis. No, like after the word data.
Oh, I see. Like so.
Yeah. Yeah. And then return. You could probably have done a shorthand, but then you say return, and then you return an object.
Uh-huh.
And you can just give it one of the props as name.
Term name is Hello World. Let's call it Chuck Norris.
Okay. Sounds good. Chuck Norris. Chuche Noriso.
There you go. Chuck.
Let's see what happens. See if I remembered that correctly.
Chuck Norris. Look at that.
All right. Now let's add a method.
All right.
So do a property called methods.
Yeah, inside this return object of methods?
No, separate from data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Methods.
I know it feels weird. Yep. And you're even getting some IntelliSense there because it knows it's a Vue
is this
object.
So is this like a method? Is methods a method or is method an object? Okay.
Yeah.
It feels weird.
Because it calls it to get the value. And so, yeah.
Okay.
All right. and then return.
Return a new object with a bunch of methods. What's a good method
Don't you?
for?
I mean, no. I hope people don't take offense to this, but it feels like you're kind of stepping back in time a little bit. Like when you go from something like Angular with classes and, like TypeScript support.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I don't know about that, man. I think there's a lot to be said for like closures and stuff like that, like the old JavaScript way of doing OOP.
Yeah.
But the TypeScript definitely gives you a lot more intelligence around it. At least it's hard to define those things in closures. It's hard to define them at a closure with TypeScript at all. It feels like because you're just changing stuff as you build it. But
yeah. All right. So I think I'm saying this correct. Let me go to the view methods. Pretty sure I'm correct on this.
So I'm guessing we just want to return an object that has some functions on it. I guess they would be methods.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a button.
Let's see.
What could the button do?
It's show an alert. Let's just do an alert.
Okay. How do I do that?
So I lost.
Oh, you mean like window.alert, or is there
just straight up? No, just there might be, but yeah, just do window.alert. So but you gotta return a method. So show alert or something like that.
Okay. Show alert.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna window alert.
Church Norris, that works. Chuck is watching. Yeah.
This doesn't really go in with things. That's an extra semicolon there.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we call this show alert?
So just up in your template, you could add a button.
Button.
And then events are, Okay. So pretty sure it's
like an @ sign for click.
@ sign click. Yep. Equals. Yep. And then just show alert. Show alert. Yeah.
Do I have the parentheses or no?
No, I don't think so. I think you just assign it.
Let's try it. Is he watching me?
Okay, so do the console log and let's see what's going on.
Just look at the console, you mean?
Yeah. Any errors there?
Yeah, 11 of them. What did we do?
Oh, you can't do name as the name of the. It's a reserved.
Okay.
So call it
Chuck.
Header, text or something.
All right.
Let's do a hard refresh on that page.
So again, some errors on the methods. Expected an object, but got a function.
Yeah, so go back to it. I don't think you can do a shorthand like that. Should it be? Oh, that's an object, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like from that error.
Yes.
This looks right? Let's see.
Yeah.
Hard refresh over here.
Much better.
All right. Is he watching me? Is he going to watch me?
Oh, he's watching me.
He's watching us. He watches over us all.
Crickets? What are you saying, Lars? What do you mean crickets?
Lars does not appreciate my humor. It's that Denmarkian efficiency there.
It's got to be late there, Lars. Aren't you supposed to be in bed? Crickets again. All right, we did it. Do you want to try hit the API? Maybe just tell me, how would you? I'm assuming there's no HTTP client like with Angular, right? Like you were talking about. No, I mean you got options. You could.
Could we just use fetch?
If your app's never going to use server-side rendering, then you could just use fetch. Even if it was, you could use node fetch. That works too. There's Axios. That's a big one. That's a standard.
I like Axios. Yeah.
But like fetch, you don't have to install anything. You just call it. So, so is this view 3 we're using or view 2?
I don't know. How would I tell?
Go to the package JSON.
Jump. I just installed whatever came in with the plugin. I didn't come in. Yeah, this is 2 still.
Okay, so if you go out, there's a backported compatibility package you can get. I don't know if those are the right words for it, but basically you can use the composition API in Vue 2. And so it's just a package you install.
Okay.
I think it's just Vue composition API. So it's like at Vue / composition -API. Yep.
No whammies, no whammies. Never know, man. Remember when the thing with like hackers can infiltrate NPM and then no one trusted NPM for a long time?
Yeah.
And now we do.
I know, man. We put a lot of faith and trust in that.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm installing stuff. I just installed the plugin. I saw like 2 critical errors there, and I'm like, 2 is pretty low.
Yeah.
We need to
go to Dino. Well, yeah, that's
Dino's interesting because they purposely don't have a central repository. Like everything just has a URL. Every package just has a URL.
Yeah.
I do and I don't. I feel like it's almost an overcorrection,
Well, there's ways to make it feel like package JSON. I mean, you can wrap things in barrel files, and then only have one kind of spot where the version URL sits. Yeah, I played with it for a little bit. It'll catch on eventually, I think. I think so too. Take a while.
I think it's Lars is saying go to Dino if you value security.
Module map config or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to get into Dino more, man. I absolutely love TypeScript. I can't like there's times I've looked at stuff like Flutter and getting into Dart and some other languages like that. I'm just like, it's not TypeScript. It's not as good. TypeScript, it's all the type checking you would want pretty much. It's getting better. 4 is coming out with like the tuples or whatever. I don't know if I've ever actually used that, but it's like even the cases that were hard to define with types are now getting easier to define. But it's also like so flexible. Like you could do functional, you could do imperative, you could do object oriented, you could do not object oriented, you could do FP. It's like it all works, and you can jump between them like seamlessly. I don't know. That's my thing. All right, we got the API, the composition API. How do I use it? You want to try to get this in real quick?
Yeah, we'll try. Let me. So you're going to import computed, I think, and ref.
Okay. Import like the TypeScript kind of.
Yeah. The in the curly braces.
Said ref was the other one.
Yeah. So be Vue composition API. Reactive.
There it is.
I'm trying to think. There's a setup method, and there's like a watch effect method. All right. So give me 1 second. I have some code locally where I was playing with it. And just want to pull that up.
In-depth's got an article on Dino. I'm going to have to look it up after this.
All right. Yeah, so ref, it would almost be like a a use state kind of thing in the React hooks world, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah,
let's see. There's the composition. Googling for it right now. I think we saw this stuff just before, right? Or is this the RFC still?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ref versus reactive on the left over there.
I'm
If you
missing
go
it.
down, kind of
Ref versus
midway.
reactive.
Yeah.
Ref versus. First thing you know is you will need to understand the difference between how you would write standard logic. Okay. Using ref, we're largely translating style 1. It's reactive. How is this different? Oh, okay. Separate variables versus a single object. Okay. Interesting. I don't understand how they're meaningfully different, but maybe I'm missing the point. Composition function.
Yeah, I ended up using ref.
Okay.
So we could create like a. Let's see. We would want to create. Let me see here.
Would these be in our methods, or where does it go in the context of this object?
I think it sits up above it.
Okay.
And so what you can do is you can provide a find this here. I believe you can provide a setup method. Let's see if that's available.
Like
so not a method, but like below methods, can you do the word setup?
Yeah, I had some intelligence on that. Is this a method or an object?
It's like data, so it'd be a method.
Oh.
And so, yeah. And then the idea is you can create something like use what are we going to call Chuck Norris API? So we can say like use jokes or something. But
use jokes.
Yeah. Lars said ref seemed to be like a React's use state hook with a single value. Reactive seems to be more like an observable view model. Yes, that's a good way to put it.
So reactive is you have the one single object, and just like whenever that changes. Okay, I think I get it.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's create a method outside of this, like above the export default. You can leave what you're doing there. And
this is here.
Yeah. And we'll just go above line 12 and maybe just have like const fetch jokes or something. Do like a shorthand function. Yep. Yeah. Maybe do some yeah, you can do that. Yep, just call fetch. And then the URL, you can just do the URL and it'll do a get, and you don't have to actually provide all that.
Oh, just like this?
Yeah, just like it's a pretty yeah, so just put whatever the URL is.
I don't know. We'll see what that gives us.
All right, let me find it here.
Chutch.
So
they all learn to spell.
Let me paste it in the chat here. All right.
Yep, there it is. Hang on. All right. That gives us a promise. So let's try this.
So I mean, you have, if we don't even go composition API, you have like the created lifecycle property.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and do what you're doing. Yeah, const jokes.
Well, I was going to. I'm imagining we can't have top level await here, right?
No.
So we'd have to do something like, if I just said let joke, and then I said something like fetch jokes.
Oh, yeah. Well,
then and then we set it.
That would be somewhere else in the setup. We would call that in the setup method.
Okay.
I think.
Down in here, we do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can't do it like this, but we can define our fetch jokes. That's our way to get our jokes.
Do that, and then define let's define a ref for jokes. So like,
okay,
like hoist it up there. So like const, I think it's const jokes. Let's see. Like I said, I'm very new to this. I'm learning just as you are, but
that's all right.
Yeah. So we could do. Let me think here. We could just do reactive. It's probably fine.
Okay.
So equals reactive. And then I guess we would just initialize it with like an empty array. And then you just import that. Yeah.
Work. There it is. Cool.
All right. And then you can do, let's see, can we do an async setup?
Find out. It's like no.
So, okay. So yeah, so we could just say, did you make that fetch async if you scroll up?
It returns a promise.
Okay. Now we're doing reactive programming. I thought you were going to make bread.
No, that was last Rafta.
Oh. Man, I saw the L.
Last Rafta, yeah. If you're watching the VOD, hope your bread's delicious.
Yeah. All right.
It's not really reactive programming.
Yeah, it's about to get very imperative.
I guess it is. It's good. It's about to get real up in here. I mean, yeah. So what I'm thinking is we could do something here with jokes, right? Where we set the joke inside of the setup, I would guess, and then we return that joke inside of our data. Is that how it would work? It feels gross, but what am I missing?
Yeah. Let's see. I think whatever you return in the setup method, it spreads that object of data into your view data.
Okay, so, into this thing right here.
Yeah. So I think it spreads them together. So, so what we would do, yeah, we would do that, and let's just do. Can we do an async await here?
I tried to do async up here. It was not liking that setup. It was returning a promise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm sure people are watching this like cringing, like all you gotta do is this one thing.
Well, do we need reactive, or what is reactive giving us? I'm still kind of missing this. I'm assuming this is setting some sort of state for the jokes where it's our array, but we want to set this up so that.
I found a good example here. Let's do this.
Good.
Let Google is our friend here. All right, so just go to this page.
Yeah.
Let's read through it together.
Let me throw it on screen. Just need a good example.
We should title this "Learning View with Wes and Zach," or Zach and Wes.
Yeah, there you
go. So scroll
or
down.
Maybe struggling through View.
Yeah.
Is there like an example? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, keep going, and then they show you how to kind of pull that logic into a hook called Use API.
Okay, what is that?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
So
Use API. So this is defined outside of our export. Wait, is it? Yeah, I guess so. So this use API equals URL and options. We don't really need any of those. So just be a function that returns constant state. Excuse me.
Yeah, so it's actually going to return. It's going to return data and status, and then a method called init fetch. Isn't that almost like the revealing object pattern that I was talking about?
Yeah.
On Twitter the other day. I think it is sort of. So we could throw this like right below our import statement, and then kind of edit it.
Let's do that. Hack and view.
Yeah. So yeah, just put it right there.
Let's put it under fetch jokes, because we should be able to use our fetch jokes in here, right?
Yeah.
So we don't need any of this because we already got that.
Yep.
We have our state. Data is null. Do we care about our API status?
Yeah, we could show a loading or not loading.
So fetching, await, and then here we could just do our fetch jokes.
Yeah, we're gonna do a hook. That's right, Lars. Is Evan you watching you? I hope not. But I hear the Michael Jackson song for sure.
Oh wait. So this is response jokes. Okay. So with fetch, does it come back wrapped in a data? Is that? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out.
It does.
Okay. So state.data, and we'll just say it's equal to data. Because I'm guessing we're just going to get an array back, right?
We'll see. Well, I called it. Did I call it? Where did my link go? You get back an object. Okay. And
let me see what that object looks like.
It's just one random joke.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get it.
I'm looking at it right now on my other screen here. Let me see it. So where's the joke? We need the value. That's the joke, right? So we'll say state.data equals data.value.
Yep.
And there we go. That looks good. So we're either going to have a fetching success or a fetching error.
We don't care about that.
Okay. What's this init fetch? What's that?
That calls it auto, like it calls it immediately. So you could pass an option to do it immediately. Oh, what happened?
I just went all the way to the bottom somehow.
Oh.
Curse my chubby fingers. There you go. So we're fetching init. Fetching it.
So that 2 refs, that's interesting. I bet it wraps all the reactive props into it with a ref.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, okay.
So how do we use this use API now?
Now you go into your turn it into an async iffy. Let me see. Go back to the page. The web page just showed it, I think.
Oh, where did it go?
I think we do it inside of our setup method, but
I lost the window. Is this it? Yeah.
Yeah, go below that. Yeah, so inside our setup we just destructure that object.
Okay. So we're going to get our data, our API status, and our netfetch. init fetch equals use API, but we don't need to pass in any of this. Then we just return the pieces we care about. Okay. Let me just copy this and we'll paste it in. Inside of our setup. This is making sense. This is starting to make sense.
Yeah.
So we could just say this is use API.
Yep.
Then
jokes.
Joke. I guess it's a single joke, right?
Let's figure out how to fetch multiples.
From the API or like
Yeah.
make it again?
No, from the API. There's got to be a way.
Okay.
Go back to the Chuck Norris. Or I can do it. Chuck Norris.
Yeah, sorry, I'm juggling things. My computer is struggling. It always struggles on stream. A new one. Retrieve a list. Jokes / categories. That's not right.
Well, this one works, but man, it returns a lot of data.
Oh yeah. What you got?
So you do /search, and then you put a query.
All right, let's see. Hang on.
And maybe you can use So do search / query
like that.
And then search ? Query. Sorry, it's actually a query param. Query, the word query equals, and then some word. I don't know. Maybe you can put like a car. Chuck returned a lot, so maybe check car, and then that's going to return an object with a property called result that would be an array of jokes. So just do data.result. There you go.
And so now,
man, we might have to do a 2-part episode here. It's getting late already.
Let's see if this actually did it. So how would I do it up here? Do I have like something like a JSON pipe I could just pre it into?
No.
Oh no.
Well, there might be, but you would just do a computed field and then do JSON-stringify.
Okay. So like JSON.stringify. Oh, is this going to work in here?
No, I think you can try that, but I think you have to do it in the object.
Okay.
In the code below.
Oh, okay. Let's see if it works. Let's try it. So it's just, and this would just be jokes, and we'll give it a null and a 2, so it's kind of nicely formatted. If that works.
It might. Okay. So it doesn't know what jokes is.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to that page, that website from Telerik.
Okay. Over here?
Yeah, so put down. We can destructure properties. In addition, the object that is returned from the setup has renamed properties to better indicate what they are. So they just added them right there.
That was just the data coming back from use API.
Go back to the code. I bet. Do we have jokes already?
Let's see. So in our state, we have data.
Yeah. Like
state
no, but
reactive.
Down in your
use API. Yeah. So he's talking about in here.
Maybe we shouldn't define a data object. Maybe setup is what does that.
Okay, let's try that. Hard refresh over here. Ah.
Okay, there we go. Header text is not defined. Okay.
Yeah, that's obvious. So we'll just get Chuck in here. I think it was also saying jokes is still not defined. So jokes is right here. And we're returning it in our setup. So you'd think it would be there. So ref of any. Wait, fast jokes, blah, blah.
Is the API call even being made?
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's open up network and I'll hard refresh. No, just the WebSocket to the serve.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to. Okay, maybe in show alert, call init fetch. Maybe we could have a method that's like, or the button. Maybe the button would call init fetch or fetch dog.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like
I
it's not
see. I
running.
see. So over here. Okay.
I feel like it's not calling that.
Yeah, let's try that. So let's get rid of this. We'll say init fetch, right?
Yeah, but just don't alias it there on 52.
On
So like on
52.
line 52, you're like aliasing fetch dog as init fetch.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Let's try that.
All right. So let me hit the hard refresh. All right. Looking at not happening. Is that right?
Are we
That's right.
calling fetch jokes? No, we're not even calling it.
We're not.
Oh yeah, you're awaiting it. Okay.
I'm awaiting it here, but when I click the button, I would have thought.
So we're missing something here with that setup method. It's not mapping it to the component somehow.
Yeah. Well, over here already, we're calling it like inside of use API. I would have thought like that's where in the example they were saying call immediately, yes or no. We're just always calling immediately. Like we shouldn't need the button click to do it. I'm not sure why it's not being hit.
I'm reading up on setup.
Okay.
I think that we don't need to define methods either if we use setup.
Okay.
Let's try that.
Let's try that. See. I mean, it still wouldn't make sense to me because we still should be like calling it already as soon as we call use API. Right? Because as soon as we're calling use API, somewhere in there we're at least making this network request right here.
Do you have to .then it? Or no?
I wouldn't think so. Like .then it to do what?
It's not. Yeah, it's not like an observable where it's cold.
Yeah, it's a promise. So it'll just as soon as we make it, it should do its thing.
Yeah.
Click the button. It's weird that we got some errors. Maybe that'll be helpful. Init fetch is not defined on the instance. It's not. What do you mean?
Okay, so I'm looking at this example. Like when you define a component in Vue, yeah, you just do the word setup. Props are passed in, but I don't think it matters if we don't define props. I guess, dude, just do old school and just like console log it and put a debugger line in or something.
Yeah. Let's see. Can we do that in our source? Oh no, we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon. Let's see if we can debug it. If it don't work, we'll call it a day.
Just do
where's
command.
my hello world?
Yeah.
Oh, what are all these chunks?
Yeah, go to the bottom one there.
Bottom one. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's not right.
This is what
Maybe
we were looking.
go under Webpack, maybe.
Oh no, what pack?
The second one. No, you might be right. Yeah. The folder without a name. Yeah. Source. No, the SRC one. Yeah.
Okay.
What is those? What in the world? Okay.
My goodness. All right, where's my code? I don't see it.
Go to the top one.
Top one. Hey, that looks
There
familiar.
we go. All right. Let's throw a breakpoint on.
Where do you want it?
Let's put it on 44.
44.
Okay. Try to refresh.
Oh, it did hit.
Okay.
Clearly,
All
we're
right.
missing something here.
Oh, wait a minute. You got console errors.
Yeah.
Okay. And if fetch is not defined, property not defined, invalid handler for event click.
Somehow setup's not doing what we think it's doing. Like we're thinking it's setting these in the context for our templating, and
That's what it's supposed to do.
it's definitely not though. Like because that's what it's complaining about. I guess it stripped out our HTML there. I guess it's doing this to get us the same line numbers. That's pretty neat at least. But
Export default. You're supposed to do export default, and then you can do props, and you can do a setup method, and then the setup method returns an object, which can be state or methods. So
does it need to do like a state in here? Has that?
no,
Or like a data? I don't know.
no. It somehow it detects if it's a method, or I guess it just says is it a function or not.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this has been fun. Maybe let's pick it up in the future.
Or we could close the door and never come back.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I didn't hate it. I'd like to give it a fair shake for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard lots of good things. I tend to believe when I hear esteemed people talk good of technology. So trying to find the StreamYards here.
The effective way to go about this would probably be to go through, an online training course, read up on it, and then tackle it. We're just kind of playing around with it from an
I had a good time, Wes. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, man. I loved it, dude. It was good talking to you. Miss working with you. And yeah, man. Let's do it again.
Sounds great. Thanks for coming by, Wes.
You bet.
Catch y'all next time. We got Jeff Cross coming next time, so make sure you stop by. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.